Hi there, this is MJ Member Ed, and I'm here to discuss with you today the transitive property of wrestling. The transitive property consists of the following statement. If A equals B and B equals C, then A should also equal C. You can substitute here at any point equals for greater than or less than or whatever. It's a property that can be applied to both, a regular math formula and an inequality. For those of you who don't know what that is, I beg you, look it up. Sorry, I had to go there. Now, with that being said, an inequality or whatever is very similar to a wrestling match when you look at it from that perspective. You always have somebody being greater than another person in a wrestling match. So I'm here to apply this mathematical property to wrestling storylines to see how it works. And this works actually across the board. You can go forwards and backwards with this. We'll jump back 10 years and we'll look at the Intercontinental title picture, 1997. Steve Austin beats Owen Hart for the Intercontinental title. Just prior to that, Owen Hart beat Farouk for that same title. It can therefore be assumed with this transitive property that Steve Austin should be greater than Farouk. And I don't know if anyone remembers this or not, but I don't recall ever seeing Steve Austin lose to Farouk or the Acolytes or anyone like that. So if that's the case, this holds true. If you jump back, to the late 70s, early 80s, and apply it to NWA, Ric Flair beats Jimmy Snuka in 1980 for the U.S. title in the NWA. Jimmy Snuka took that title from Ricky Steamboat in 1979. Alright? Ric Flair beat Rick Steamboat in 79 for the same title yet again. So you are looking at the transitive property in action yet again, as Ric Flair was greater than Jimmy Snuka. Jimmy Snuka was greater than Rick Steamboat. Therefore, Ric Flair was greater than Rick Steamboat. And that was exactly how it was applied. Most recently, or of the three examples at least, you take Shawn Michaels beating Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 22. You have Triple H beating McMahon pretty much any time he steps in the ring with him, but we'll say most notably during his Steph marriage storyline that they did. Then, by that token, if you combine Shawn Michaels and Triple H, they should definitely be greater than Vince McMahon, and that is where your whole new and improved DX storyline came from. So all of these things really help aid my argument with this. Now, how does this help in terms of booking matches and setting up storylines? Let's try a couple out, and we'll see how it looks. You have Edge beat The Undertaker with his Money in the Bank match and become the SmackDown champion. You've had Undertaker beat Mark Henry twice now, once at WrestleMania 22, and you've had it happen again just this last week or so at the last pay-per-view. According to the transitive property, then, Edge should be greater than Mark Henry. Now, don't you think that would make for an interesting match? Edge and Mark Henry? Mark Henry, this huge monster of a man, versus scrawny little Edge, with Edge as a champion? Think of all the things they could do to set up a match between those two, and how they could possibly make Edge retain the title between that. I think that would be an entertaining match. And you know what? I'd pay money to see it. So that's my hope with something like this. But we have another one here. King Booker beats John Cena like he did at the Champion of Champions match at Cyber Sunday last year. And then we have John Cena beat Shawn Michaels as he did repeatedly just this year, before Shawn Michaels was retired, so to speak, by Randy Orton. It should therefore be known that King Booker would be greater than Shawn Michaels. Think about how good of a match that would be. Have you ever seen King Booker or Booker T or whatever you want to call him in a match with Shawn Michaels? No, you haven't. And it never happened even back in the days of the WWE NWO, where Shawn Michaels just super kicked the crap out of Booker T, and then they basically dissolved the arc like 2 weeks later. Booker T got kicked out of the NWO. There is a storyline there that they could really follow, and they've never, ever, once even looked at it again. And these are the types of things that would benefit the WWE. The one thing that throws this whole transitive property off is something we like to refer to as the Hogan rule, in which someone decides that one person will never, ever lose under any circumstances. And that throws the entire concept out the window. Hulk Hogan demonstrated this very, very clearly in the 80s and in WCW in the 90s, going into when that company was shut down. Goldberg is another one who, because he would never lose to anyone, again, kind of throws this property out the window. This can most recently be applied to John Cena. And just to run down the list here real quick of what we've seen John Cena do. John Cena's beaten Triple H, he's beaten Umaga, he's beaten Bobby Lashley, he's beaten Shawn Michaels, he's beaten Edge, he's beaten Big Show, he's beaten JBL, he's Great Khali, Randy Orton, the world's greatest tag team, the Redneck Wrecking Crew, Kurt Angle, the list goes on and on. The man doesn't lose. Now, in theory, the transitive property should be what every promotion is based on, with people being greater than or less than other characters within the promotion. With the Hogan rule, or the Cena rule, or the Goldberg rule, whatever you want to call it, into effect, this defeats the purpose and devalues your company, devalues your titles, devalues the credibility of your characters if they are put over everyone. So you mean to tell me that in 10 years' time there was nobody that was better than Hulk Hogan? That in 5 years' time there was nobody better than Goldberg? Or that in the last 3 years nobody's better than John Cena? Nobody? That's a lot of stock to put in someone. And we saw what it did to Hulk Hogan. And we saw what it did to Goldberg. It hasn't happened yet to John Cena. You still have a chance to fix it. So before it gets out of hand, I beg you, stop. Have Cena drop the title. Have somebody lose it in spectacular fashion and just lay him out. And be done with it. Write Cena off for 2 months. Give him 2 months off. See how the show does without him. When he's back, he can be focused, get back into the title picture. He could even carry it again after that. But having a year-long title reign in this day and age of crash television just doesn't cut it anymore. This is MJA member Ed. Don't tase me, bro.